Hello everybody at the Astroflower, welcome to the collective reading for the equinox of autumn, September 2023, and we're going to be looking at the next sort of 3 months basically, leading up to the solstice in the 21st of December. So yeah, we're going to be looking at the human side and the sort of like the emotional side, spiritual side, sort of anything that can come through in the energy sort of front. And then on the other side, we're going to be looking at very much the material world, and this could be anything from finances through to sort of global or geological events and political events. You know, the human sort of play that we're all involved in some way or another. You know. So we're going to be looking at 1 month, 2 months, 3 months basically. So I'm going to be pulling 3 different sets of cards for each month and just see what the progressional sort of story is and see how we can come out of this. Now there's a lot of information to take into account, and I will timestamp it over each month. There is also events that are happening in the astrological world, as it were. But also in the geological world. So we have the lunar eclipse and the solar eclipse. We also have the Mercury going into retrograde as well. Just trying to, hang on a second, let me just try and find the dates. I did write them down because I didn't want to sort of get confused with the dates. I'm sort of, I've more of a case of, I work with the daily energy more than anything else. Dates and calendars are so young, even if they're only, you know, the Gregorian calendar is only 1,000 years old. So, you know, don't get too carried away with things that on a planet that's been here for millions of years. So, you know, don't get too fixated with dates and such. It just gives you an idea of the times when things are coming in. So Mercury is going back into retrograde. It's come out of retrograde really from the 30th of September. So there's a little bit, and that's the shadow side of it all. It's more sort of teething sort of things that we can be dealing with. But it goes into retrograde on the 13th of December and comes out of retrograde on the 1st of January. So it goes between Sagittarius and Capricorn. Then we have the lunar eclipse, which is on the 28th and 29th. And the solar eclipse, which is on the 14th of October. So these things have really need to take into account. And I've done lots of readings on the solar eclipses and the lunar eclipse, basically. And you can go back into our channel and see them from the past. And it is the longer term sort of plan, really. We're talking over years rather than months. It's part of that sort of cycle. And there's usually 2 sets a year. One in the autumn, one in spring, and they gradually move through time, which is quite interesting. And it's been mainly in Scorpio and Taurus. I will be doing a full explanation on how this affects the energy, basically, for the equinox, and also how the solar eclipses and the lunar eclipse affects the energies on Cymatic TV. So. It will be linked at the end of this reading. It's also linked in the description if you want to go and see you know, my report on that and how it's going to affect energy, and then therefore how it can affect us and the world geologically, because it's quite important. You know, and what sort of chakras it corresponds to and stuff like that, because it's mainly to do with the root and the root and crown, well, root and sacred chakra. So your fundamental desires, basically. And there's a particular thing going on there. So you'll see that in the report, but it's also affecting the crown chakra as well. So this is all about our vertical raison d'etre, and going through with our fundamental desires. That seems to be the overall sort of, you know, broad brushstroke sort of guide to the energy. But as I say, there's a full report on that, going into how that's going to, you know, possibly affect your chakras, affect your energies and stuff like that, over on our sister channel, Cymatic TV, which is linked in the description below. So, without further ado, now that sort of introduction is coming, that's very technical, very sort of housekeeping. Oh yeah, I've got you know, my workshops. There's been emails been going out and stuff like that. You should be receiving them if you know. I'm a little bit late on the Australian and the US ones. I do apologise about that, but you should be receiving those with possible dates and possible locations. If that interests you, do sort of send me an email, and we'll go in and we'll be able to sort out a weekend workshop in those areas. Okay. In the meantime, what else do we get off this coming time? Just looking at the world around and the energies and how the energy's been playing over this summer period in the northern hemisphere, obviously the winter period in the southern hemisphere. You know, overall there is slight differences between the northern and southern hemisphere, obviously, but generally the energy's been this sort of stop, start, spurt sort of thing. And it's sometimes it's really intense, other times it's really vague and nondescript, other times it's literally just we're getting the wash back in, it feels like, getting dragged back out to sea in a way. So there's a lot of things been going on that's putting a lot of things into question at the moment. So I hope we do not get thunderstorms today. I hope we do not get thunderstorms. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, so it seems like the energy's been a bit sort of like to and fro, putting everything into question. I think it's been playing a lot on our emotions, emotionally, how we sit in our situation in regards to the world, in regards to the relationships that are around us and so forth. Real eureka moments as well, as much as I don't understand anything sort of scenario, you know, and it does play between the two quite a lot there, really. And that wind's just picking up. As I say, I hope we don't get any storms. It would be really disappointing. Okay, so let's just see what's going on with your energies, shall we? Well, with your energies, with our energies, with the energies of the first month of this equinox. And the thing is, the last thing I'll say about equinox as well is equinox is a time when you have 12 hours across the globe. So everyone finds themselves in the same position, almost like it's almost like a pendulum. So we're all finding ourselves at the same time in the same place at the same pendulum, and then it gradually sort of changes over time. Bonjour. So you know, it'd be very interesting. Let's just see what the overall energy is for us. Playing smart. So this is going from the 21st of September through to the 21st of October. Let me just remind myself on those dates because I want to see something. Playing smart. Yeah, it composes the solar eclipse. Now this is really interesting. The solar eclipse comes out on the 14th of comes out. It's like its new album from the solar eclipse comes out. Is with us on the 14th of October. This is a Libran period, obviously. So it is about judgment. It is about playing smart as well, because all you Librans out there, you know as well as I do, you have a hugely quick mental agility. Let's put it that way. The capacity of thinking is, you are crowned. So it is sort of playing smart. And with this eclipse coming in on that sort of date as well, it comes through the earth chakra, the sacred chakra, and then flows down towards the root chakra. So this is how our fundamental desires, how we actually put them, you know, enroot them. Is that the right word? No, I don't think it is. You know, how we root them within our actual being. And I think this is where we got to play smart. And I don't think it's playing smart as in kind of going, oh, we've got to win that. You know, that's not what it is. Playing smart is recognizing as well our shortcomings as individuals. Playing smart is also recognizing the values of others. over ours. This is, being honest, that is playing smart. Being honest with the situation is really playing smart. Because if we really are truly, and it takes a humble person to turn around and kind of go, yeah, that's a better idea. Sometimes it takes a humble person to say that. Or that's a better energy, or that's what we should be doing, or, and agreeing that, and then helping to contribute to putting that into place. And I think this playing smart, if it's based uniquely upon what am I going to get out of it, because that's what it risks to be as well. So we risk to have the overall energy for that month there being very polarized between people. It's kind of like me. Yeah, I can hear you. These birds are really singing like a trooper. They're obviously, here comes the wind now, so maybe this, we're going to get a storm coming on. Is that what you're saying? Well, chase it away, please. Move the storm over that way. Okay? So this is, that whole idea of playing smart is the polarization between the two extremes of me, and another extreme is us. And creating that us has a lot more, I would say, complications, because it's very easy to sort of say, I want this, I want that, I want this, I want that. It's very easy to say that. I want to go to the moon, but it's not possible, because the us is not going to make me go to the moon. There is a chance, I guess, but I think it's a very, very, very slim chance. And could we spend that, that money, that time, that effort, that energy on other things that are greater for the us? It's like, the whole idea of this logical evolution, I think, is now in this period here is where we're going to see a real difference between those who wish to actually evolve through common sense and natural energies, and people who want to evolve in a sense of me. And I think the me has to change to us personally. That's my personal point of view. What's your point of view? Tell me in the description below. And this playing smart is about that. So you could take this two ways. You could take this on a personal level, because this is a collective reading. But if you could take it on a personal level, and it could be you playing smart in your life. I think that, will polarize you. Or you could have it playing smart of the collective. And standing up and sort of saying, no, look, and not agreeing with what the collective's doing, because it's polarizing it into a small minority of people, and looking at people as differences between one set of people and another, which is completely ludicrous. The whole idea is just sort of kind of going, are you serious? Have we not worked this out? Didn't we? What was all this? What was the 20th century all about? Was it not about sort of working out the fact that we're actually just all humans on one planet? We're all on the same boat. No one's going anywhere, man. And yeah, if I sort of chuck out all the pollution in one area, then obviously it's going to affect the entire world, And there does need to be some sort of consensus of how we interact with nature. But that also, the information that is given to us needs to be of a much, much higher caliber than what we're getting at the moment. We're only getting polarized views, as far as I can tell. And this needs to change. This is where we need to play smart. We really do need to play smart. Okay, so the first month there is about playing smart, putting into practice, or putting the us into I. That's what it's about. Putting the us into I. Wow, that was a massive explanation just for one card, wasn't it? I probably lost everybody already. I do apologise. Okay, on the karmic mission for us, the spiritual karmic mission, nurturing, and this is what I'm talking about. So we got 2 sevens here. Okay, 2 sevens, 2 sevens. Sevens is for me is like a realization. When you get 3 sevens, you've won the jackpot. You've realized you're really rich, you know. And here is, by playing smart, we have to nurture this idea of the us in the world that is around us on a very much on a spiritual level, on an energetic level, on a personal level, on our interactions between us as cultures, you know, as people, as sort of, you know, beliefs, everything. We have to start nurturing some sort of connection between us all. That's what it appears to be like. That seems to be the karmic message for that monthly period here. Okay, so in this month here, we're going to be going through week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4. Very simple. Keep it very simple. But also at the same time, you can say, this is how the universe is influencing us. This is how our past, our ancestors are influencing us. This is how our future selves are influencing us. And this is the general outcome. You can look at it like that as well. So let's just see how it goes on for here. In the first week, we had the Empress, sorry. Control over one's emotions. And this is what I was talking about, playing smart. Taking control over that idea of me. Taking that control over, you've got to do what I say, sort of scenario. Because if you look in nature, nothing in nature works like that. You know, everyone adheres to a certain rhythm. Yeah, that's the agreeable. That's the common sense. That's the natural law. But once you start involving your emotions into a situation, you cannot apply that to everybody else because it's a very personal thing. And here, I think, is having control over emotions. If we do have a control over emotions, we can galvanize all the different sensations, all the different approaches in one sense. So this person here behind her, she's got this river that's flowing down, this cascading water, everything like that. So that's very emotionally turbulent, changing from one place to another. It's a transition of emotions. She's also got this lovely sort of forest that's growing around there as well, which is generating physical positioning or growth within the situation out of that emotions. She is sat down here and she is manifesting these things here. She's manifesting the calm future where she's got these emotions under control and everything is coming to her, and she's giving birth to something new. And this is what's coming out in the first week, and this is possibly what we need to nurture between us. And this could well be, I think it's like a connection of and I've been talking about it for weeks. It's like a connection that's sort of saying, you know, we're all, you know, making sure my neighbour's all right. You know, this connection, the differences that I might have with my neighbour, I'm sure I can find common ground with my neighbour. And this common ground is going to create a situation where we can actually build to things in the future. And it's okay to agree to disagree about things. That's fine. You know, because most things we actually disagree about are going to be emotional things. And that's why she's got a control over her emotions. And that's what we need to do as a collective. And we need to galvanize this into a sense. So that's like the first week, and that's how the universe is also influencing us. How's our past self? Yeah, I think we've lost belief in the joy of being humans and being together. Do you remember? A lot of you won't remember this, but we used to have things like, you might well know it as Telethon or Red Nose Day. I think that's still about. But we used to have things like, you know, the human race used to have things like where we were singing, we had that song to help out with the famine in Africa and everything like that. There was a lot more sort of like believing that us as humans collectively, we could do something. We could make a difference. We could make this world a better place. And I think in the second week, with this realization here, that's coming out, I think this is what's being pulled forward. This rebirthing of a belief in of a beautiful future, of getting it together, of being at one with one another. But if you look back to since the year 2000, name me right, maybe put it in the comments, what's the three main issues that have, or the three main threads that have been flowing through the human race? For me, it's conflict, climate, and personal preference, right? They're all very disaster movies, real sort of dark things. And I think we've got to move away from that. I think you've got to understand here that we think we have an idea how nature works and how space works, but we don't have half of it. You know what I mean? And the whole idea that we can kind of go, right, we're going to do this and everything's going to change. I think a lot of the information we've been given as well is not information that is helping us to consciously make a decision. It is very polarized. And I think we've got to start believing in the human spirit. And I think that's what comes out in the second week. So this second week is leading up to that solar eclipse. And the solar eclipse comes in really in the third week of here. So it's coming in here. Once we start believing it, what is that solar eclipse going to give us? Four of Swords. I think this is where we get our, not comeuppance at all. I think this is where the realization, where you start smelling our own rubbish. Yeah? It comes home to roost. And I think in the fourth week here, it sparks off that whole idea of kind of going, a lot of people kind of go, well, I'm pulling out of this. I need to recuperate from all of this sort of stuff that's been banging on, that's been really pushed down my throat and, made my spirit non-engaged with the world and the universe that is around us. I think that has to change enormously. But for us to do that consciously, we do need a moment of healing. And I think this eclipse is going to bring that home to roost. It will make things very, very obvious who and what is trying to help and create, and who is trying to harm and destroy. Basically, I think it's going to become very, very obvious in that third week. And this is where the general feeling here is, from the overall energies of what is going to be going through, the majority of people are going to be in a position of we now see the world for what it is, and we need to heal from this. And I think that's what's going to be coming out. Disappointment in the fourth week? Yes, because I think we're going to see things for what they are. This is what this 3 cups is all about. I think that's where we're going to be disappointed with the world that is around us. But we do have these 2 cups here. And that's, in theory, what we should be heading towards. And I think that's one of those cups. One of those realizations. We may see it on the financial side, the other cup. And we need to stick to the idea of lots of things are very, very possible in the world. And it's going to be beautiful when it is possible. And I think that's a good card, because that is going to be the start of the 10 of cups, the 5 of cups. It is that moment of coming out of the rain cloud, coming into the sunshine, and then being able to see the rainbow, see the reality for what it is. And that's what will make us happy. Okay, let's just see what's going on the financial side and the physical side. We get the Page of Pentacles. So Page of Pentacles, yes, definitely an idea of planting, starting something new. I think this economy that we're driving at the moment is treading water. It's not going anywhere. There's no real plan, there's no real consensus, there's no real optimism. And I think this is across all the fields. This is, between me and my neighbours, as much as anybody who thinks they're running countries, or running bigger organisations that are affecting the world, that will decide how the world will be. And I think this is what's coming up in this month here is a start, or something new is being created that we are part of. Trying to see if there's anything physical on the material, you know, like on the geological sort of side. Let me just connect to the earth for that. Showing me stuff like volcanoes and stuff like that, but you know, I'm really looking to sort of see if there's any sort of major stuff. There could well be like volcanoes going off, and this could be the starting of a new land. A new island could appear in the Pacific, for example. You know, that sort of thing. You know, and I'm trying to see if it's that sort of orientation. And it seems to be. I'm getting more of this. There's more of this. It's like there's an idea that pole shift, and this pole shift is going to start really taking hold in the world that is around us. But more than anything else, I think it's more to do with the economy, and could be also political as well, and starting something new, basically. I think that's what the karma is trying to tell us. Starting something new. Leap of faith. There you go, full. This is in the first week of the, so this is 21st to the 28th of September. And I think the universe is also encouraging us to take a leap of faith here. You know, if you look back over history, 500, 400, 500 years ago, well, in other countries it will be younger. Not that I'm a big fan of countries, but, you know, there was a royalist system. And, you know, that had been going on for hundreds of years. You know, 600 years ago, in the 1300s. And you turn around and said, well, in the future, we won't have any wars. People would say, you're nuts. You're crazy. You can't do that. That's just the way it is. And I think this is where we've got to take a leap of faith here and kind of go, look, we can do things differently. And I think the universe is encouraging us to engage in that. And I think that has to do with pole shift as well, more than anything else. In the second week is the King of Swords. This is where a definite direction is taken through judgment. So I've got a funny feeling in the second week we're going from the 28th through to the, what is it, the 5th, something like that, of October. 5th to 6th of October, maybe a little bit more than that, I don't know, or less than that, I don't know. Yeah, from the 29th through to the 6th of October. So yeah, it's I think this could be a case of maybe there's some sort of judgment that comes out, there's some sort of revelation, some sort of wisdom, some sort of understanding within the human world around us, and it could even be the way in which the world works as an energetic being. And this has to do with pole shift as well. This could be to do with court cases in countries. This could be to do with the way in which, you know, we make a judgment on the economy. Whatever it is, it gives us the clear vision and the direction that we should be going down or taking. What's happening in the third week? You got the Queen of Pentacles, which is really beautiful. King of Swords and the Queen of Pentacles, a really divine path here to be made, with this healing that comes in on the emotional sort of side. On this side here, this is where we get like now knowing how things happen, or once we get this wisdom through, that gives us the understanding of how things happen, and she knows what she's doing. The Queen of Pentacles, she has this assurance because she knows she's sat at the tree. This is the tree of knowledge. She knows how things work, and she can sort of vaguely extrapolate the situation and know how it's going to happen in the future. And I think this is where we do start applying this in the world, and there's no denying it. That's the thing with this. There's no denying this future. There's no denying how things work energetically. We may get some confirmations, real confirmations of pole shift of the energies. We may get real confirmation of how the sun affects the climate on this planet. And through this understanding, this is what comes out in the final week, this is where we get the Ace of Pentacles. Finally living up to that. That is that pathway. It starts at the end of the week. This is after the eclipse. And all of a sudden, I think this could be a reboot of the economy, or a reboot of, or an attempt to rebooting the system, political system, which probably has seen its day. Our political system in the UK has been around for sort of 400 or 500 years. Before that, you had sort of 800 or 900 years of royalty, and it's like this half-life. And then we get another system that's only going to last 200 years, and then we're going to gradually get towards perfection. And this is where it starts, I think, by the end of the fourth week, basically. But there's a real transition that's going on there between September and October, within the economy, within political sort of senses as well. It just seems some sort of like geological event that's really helping us to understand how things work. So working out the effects of the sun upon the earth and its climate and the other planets as well, how the sun affects that is really important, because we don't look at that when we're trying to work out what's going on with the with the environment of this planet. And we should do, because it's the biggest elephant in the room. And I look at the sun loads, and I understand there is a huge effect of the sun upon this planet, and a lot more than we actually think. And I think it's 95% of the reason why we have a lot of changes on this planet. But we will see. It's only my own personal opinion. If you've got other opinions, please do comment. It's lovely to hear from it. Let's just see. Now we're going into the second month, and this is where we're coming into. Let me just see again on my dates. Get my bit of paper here. This is where we come into the lunar eclipse, and the lunar eclipse is on the 28th, 29th. So we're talking about the first week of this second month, as it were. And the overall energy, we get this fall here. And this is where we had it on here as well, in the first week of here. And I think this is what we've got to be living. What started off this leap of faith is we've got to, the overall energy is going to be, we can stand at the edge of the cliff and deny that there is a cliff in front of us, and we need to go forward. And as more and more people build up behind you, you're eventually going to get pushed off that cliff. And I think this is what it's saying here. The overall energy is sort of saying, you got no choice. You're best off jumping, taking a leap of faith. Carlos Castaneda. Read a bit of Carlos Castaneda, you'll understand what I'm talking about there. Okay, so it's a very shamanistic sort of thing. What's on the karmic message on our relationship side? Going down this journey, when it comes at the end of the month, we've come out of that sort of, we're having that healing section, and we're getting a little bit disappointed in the world, and we know where we're supposed to go, but we're procrastinating. And maybe here is, because it's on our karmic path, is taking time out to actually allow that healing to really embed within us. Nurturing this new pathway, and it's just concentrate on nurturing it, doing the little things, not running off in opposite directions and stuff like that, but nurturing a real future that we could live together. Let's just see what's going on the first week here. You have the Two of Wands. This is where the planning comes into play for this, getting ready to go on that journey. And I think we're getting ready to go on that journey, and this is in the first week. All of a sudden the planning comes into place from what has come from the Empress as well, all those possibilities that we have. And I think people are going to start, planning a different way to interact with one another, rather than being told how we should interact with one another, what we should say, what we should do, because that's absolutely ridiculous. The whole perception of, you can only say what. Imagine if it was me and I was sort of saying, okay, from now on you're only allowed to say beep bop beep for something, you know. It is just, we've got to express ourselves as we see fit. And I think this is in a way is accepting, and that's what that playing smart as well is all about. And now we've got to sort of like plan how we can really interact with one another along this journey and reignite that dream of the human race, basically. Change of fortunes, reignite that human race, basically, totally. And this comes in with a Page of Cups. So I think here is a change of fortune, and I think it's because I think we're going to be in a situation where we're going to realise that actually connecting between one another and saying hello to people on the street is really powerful, incredibly powerful. Just sort of saying to someone, "Hi, how you doing?" You know, you don't have to stop and ask them, you know, what's going on in their life. You know, you just need to recognise that you saw that person, they saw you. You looked into each other's eyes, but you looked into each other's eyes and kind of went, "Oh, hi." You know, that's how you doing. That's as simple as that. There's huge amounts of power in that. Huge amounts of power, and I think that's where it's the starting point of our future, our collective future, and that is where it comes in the second week here. So that lunar eclipse was it on the 13th of October? No, when was it? No, it was the 28th, 29th. It was in this first week here. And this is all to do with I wanted to come back to this, because this is to do with the crown chakra, basically. Mainly more than anything. There is a bit on the heart, there is true, but it's mainly on the crown chakra here. And I think here is where we're planning, because we're up in our crown chakra, we're up in our consciousness, and now we're planning with our consciousness how we go forward, how we connect with one another, how we break down the stigmas that have been put into place over the past 20, 30 years. Because they have. You know, that whole idea of kind of going, should I talk to this person? Should I? That could be dangerous. You know, it's like, no, we've got to talk to each other. Third week. This is where the things come to the surface. This is all to do with, you know, this change of fortune that's happening in the second week is provoking a lot of unforeseen emotions to come to the surface. So as we start to get to work towards this and work towards, you know, being together, as it were, it's gonna throw new things up in society that we're going to have to deal with, that we're not seeing coming our way. How we, you know, treat one another on an individual basis, but on a collective basis as well. And I think that's where that's all part of the healing process that comes out through this whole thing. What's going on with the Five of Cups here, with this disappointment that happened at the just before the lunar eclipse? A reassurance of self, and I think this is where this thing's come to the surface here with this leap of faith. It's the reassurance of self. We're coming back into the sevens and the realizations and the revelation of oneself, and knowing your strengths and your weaknesses. And this is really important as well. Don't play to your weakness. Play to your strengths, but also at the same time playing to the strengths that make life a lot better for everybody. So basically, if I know I'm weak in organisation, you might well see this if you're trying to get on any of my workshops. You know, administration I'm pretty bad on. Yeah, there's a lot of people that are pretty bad on it, but there's some people that are really good at it. You know, but I have other strengths of connecting, conveying to people. So, which the person who does administration may not have. So I can be there, you know, I can be the strength of their weakness, and their strength can be the strength of my weakness. And together we could be in a really good place. And I think this is what the realization and what it's coming to the surface here. It's going to help us collectively to actually start building a global community without there being some sort of body that's saying to you, you can do this and you can't do this. You know, It's got to be a natural thing. It's got to be a feeling that we all feel between us, rather than something that I tell you that you've got to do. Otherwise, you're going to have trouble. You know, that's dictatorial, and I'm not like that. And I'm sure a lot of people won't put up with that. Let's just see what's going on the financial side. Judgment. I think this is what this is all about. The realization, the truths are coming out, the new cycle that we're bringing in. And the karmic message here is to ascend, basically. That's what judgment is. We can sort of say, this is this, therefore now we can go up to this. And I think this is what is coming through here. And it's a bit of a leap of faith. And it could well be to do with judgment of systems and stuff like that. I'm not for putting anybody into prison and stuff like that. If someone's done something wrong, I'm more inclined to sort of say, kind of go, well, you've done this wrong. Okay, well, we're going to take away, I'm not going to give you anything more than what you deserve. You've done something wrong. But come and plant potatoes with me. And, we'll see how you get on. Come and join in and we'll see how you get on. But everyone's going to be wary of you because of what you've been doing in the past. You've got to understand that. And that is, I think, punishment enough to be almost banished from society. And that's what it's not banished at all. But everyone's looking at you kind of going, yeah, we all know what you did. Yeah, we know what you did. So you did it. You're a bit of a, but I'm not going to kill you. But in order for you to get through life, you're going to have to come and plant potatoes with me. In the first week here, and we're back to the Seven of Swords again. This is where the overall energy is really starting to play out in it. And the funny thing is look at this. Seven of Swords and the Fool. Overall energy. Seven of Swords and the Fool. And I think this is also coming in from the universe to sort of say, what you're doing. Make sure you play smart. And playing smart, we get back to that whole idea of playing smart. Playing smart doesn't necessarily mean beating others. That's not what playing smart's all about. It really is not. And I think this is a realization that we are coming to. In the second week in that, we get the Five of Swords. Like a tsunami, like a wave that comes in, then the wave that gets pulled back out. Yeah? And I think this is like the backwash of this judgment, yeah? Of this judgment and this sort of like this realization and leap of faith and playing smart. The backwash of it is people will be clinging to the old world as much as they can. And the best way they can cling to the old world is by conflict. By, what did Gandhi say? Was it Gandhi? I forgot what it said. First they ignore you, then they make fun of you, then they fight you, and then you win. And this is that sort of like, then they fight you stage. A lot of people within my world, I've been doing healing for a long time, working with energy for a long time, and within my own family, within my friends, it's like kind of going, you're mad, you're an idiot, oh look, and now I'm getting to a stage where, after 30 years, kind of going, well, I'm right, sort of scenario. And this is where we might get that sort of like, that sort of backbiters coming to the surface. And it's just a way of clearing out the old and allowing the new to come in. So this is in the second week of the second month. So this is the beginning of November period as well. This is where we're moving on to up to sort of like the 7th to the 14th of November. So this is his third week, the 7th to the 14th of November. This is where things are going to really start moving then. Because of that, because we realise that actually some people are they just want to cause trouble to distract us from what we're actually really doing and going forward on our pathway as a collective. And I think it's going to start coming in very quickly. I think the numbers of people who are going to be coming to the logical progression, the natural evolution of things, the like nature's, the law of nature, I think is going to be phenomenal. I think it's going to be a massive surge in that period between the 14th and the 14th and 7th and 14th of November, where I think people are going to really start kind of moving towards the movement of, actually, I know, the majority of us know, and I say this a lot, the majority of us know that you shouldn't extinguish the life of another person for own personal gain. You might have to extinguish a life, the life of another person because they've gone mad and they're trying to extinguish a lot of other people's lives. They've gone a bit doolally, been out in the sun too long, and they're doing really stupid things, and the only way to stop them is by extinguishing their life. There is a big difference in that, and one is, I can't say this on YouTube, but I'm not sure, I don't know what I can say on YouTube, so I'm just a little bit wary. One starts with M and the other one starts with K, and they're two completely different things, and they're very distinct different things. One is emotionally driven, the other one is practical. So, and I think this is what comes to the fore here, of a big swirl and surge of people. And this is, in the 4th week, this is when we really start, I think we start dreaming and believing in the human race again. This is where we believe that there's, I'm not a great fan of belief, because belief can be, deluded as well. And it can be manipulated. It's better that we know. And I think we do know here, because we've had the sword that came, the King of Swords that came out in the month before. I think a lot of things come to the surface, and we've started this new progression here, and we've taken that leap of faith, and now we're starting to love what we're creating as a collective. And I think this comes out in the 4th week, so this is from the 21st to the 28th of November, which I think is really good and really important for us. Let's just go on to the next month. A long time, I know. It's a 3-month period, so you will be having your individual readings coming out for this period here as well. That's coming out in the coming out tomorrow and the following day, 6 signs per day, and then obviously you've got your weekly readings at the end of the week. Bonjour. Yeah. Overall energies for the month going from the 21st of November through to the 21st of December, we have the moon again. Playing smart, leap of faith, change of fortunes, things are really starting to rock and roll here. And I think this is, the overall energy is bringing things to the surface, and this is being helped out by Mercury that goes into retrograde between the 13th to the 1st of January. So this goes into this period here, and this retrograde of Mercury is a very practical thing, and it's seeing how things work in a very practical way and putting it into question. So things that may not work during this period here, it needs to be examined why they don't work. Are we approaching the situation in the incorrect way? I just think it's more that there's unforeseen things come to the surface in that period there. I almost feel like old ways of doing things start to come back around and start working for the collective rather than working for the individuals. That's as well as which I think it is, and I think it blatantly becomes obvious as we go forward. Let's see what goes on in the karmic mission on the relationship side. We've come through a whole sort of series of events over the first month where we, get through to that healing section and start getting a bit, have that sort of disappointment moment of the past, according to the past, and then in the second month, really start creating some new things. And as we're creating these new things and we're heading off down that journey, we're going from that Three of Wands and we're moving on. Here we're now sort of manifesting our future, our collective future. We are actually, it almost feels like it is like an obligation, like it is on our collective karmic path that we have to do this. In the first week, you get the Three of Cups. This is beautiful. The way things come back together, we generally come back together here on this, in this first week. This is where celebration comes. This comes with, connecting with people in a very joyous way. So we've stopped looking down devices and we're starting to look in each other's faces, which is really nice. That's what it feels like. It feels like a human revolution of being humanly interacting with one another. Because that is really important to have a healthy society. That communication, that physical communication in seeing one another, sitting down, having a cup of tea, talking over life with one another is very important. And I think that's what sort of like comes into play here. On the second week, we have the Empress again on this side here. And this is part of the manifestation as well. This is all part of that manifestation thing. And it seems like this second week in each of these cycles here, these monthly cycles here, brings forward a new chapter. So this is on, this is going, between the 28th of November to the beginning of December, through to the 6th of December. And yeah, we're starting to open the door to the possibilities of what we can do. Having control over our emotions, turning, chaos into order, but in a nice way, not like order as in you've got to do this and not, if you don't do this, you'll be in real trouble. And then we have justice again in the third week. So this is where Mercury in retrograde starts kicking in. And I think this is where we're going to be justified. We're going to see things that really don't work anymore in that retrograde. And as we progress into what we start doing, recognizing the possibilities of the new tomorrow, giving birth or creating something new, we're going to see that we're actually right in doing this as a collective, in the way we interact with one another on a very social basis. And the numbers will keep growing of people who are going to get involved in this, in the logical revolution. This is between the 14th and the 21st of December. 10 of Wands. I think this is also to do with Mercury retrograde. I think that we're going to realise, I've got ambitions, and some of my ambitions are really quite big. Yeah. And we might have collectively bitten off a little bit more than we can chew, but that doesn't matter. Do we have that collective consciousness to turn around and say, okay, not that I was wrong, but I've taken on too much. Let's put a little bit down, get the things that we need to get done, and then pick up the other stuff that we'd put down earlier on. That is that playing smart. That's what's coming out of that playing smart there, of being able to see the situation for what it is and noticing that we might have just been carrying a little bit too much. On the, or our eyes are bigger than our stomachs, or our expectations are bigger than what the reality of what it can be. That's what I feel like it's coming out to. Let's just have a look what's going on the financial sort of side. Karmic mission, Ace of Wands. This comes out of that judgment, and this follows on from the Lovers basically, and the Chariot card. The feeling of we're actually progressing or creating something or taking a real righteous place in something, because everything is working together. It is a very mentally stimulating victory that we can see the logic or see the reason for what we do, and it gives us that sensation of winning on all fronts. On all fronts. This could be political as much as it could be financial, as much as it could be geological. In the first week, we have the friend of everybody. I'm going to get in trouble for saying that, surely. I've got in trouble for talking about the devil card in the past with certain people. You know, this is, don't forget, it's just tarot, and you know, the devil as a mythological character serves its purpose for knowing what we shouldn't do. Basically, it helps us out to keep on the straight and narrow. But here in the first week here, I think the devil is in the detail of what we're doing. And this is how I treat the devil a lot more these days. It will show us our extreme points of view. It will show us our illusions once we see the detail. And I think this is where, in this first week, leading up to the end of November, we will start seeing the actual concrete detail of what we're putting together out of a new economy and a new political system that we're gradually doing. The tower moment. I think, right, I'm getting off of this. Like the canary in the coal mine scenario. And I think the canary in the coal mine here is a realization that we have been approaching certain areas of human life in the wrong way, and we've been fed a lot of bad information. Basically, collectively, we've been fed a bad information, and I think this is that realization, because we're starting to see the devil in the detail. With that devil in the detail comes out a moment where the tower is also, you could say it's a catastrophic moment. That's what you could say. But you could also sort of say it is the destruction of belief systems that no longer hold water, that are no longer valuable, or that has no real value anymore, or it's proved to be wrong. It's also, you know, you can see this crown coming off there. It's like old ruling systems that come to an end. And I think this could be the nail in the coffin for the old dimension as we move into the logical revolution of the future, or logical evolution, sorry. The logical evolution of the future. You know, this wind is picking up, and they're the only cards that are really trying to, I'm going to have to put it like that now, so it doesn't, there you go, so it doesn't go flying off. But it's like an earthquake, you know. It's gonna be a real shock, I think, to the last bastions of people holding an old ideology that just doesn't make any logical sense whatsoever anymore. And I think it's going to be a real tower moment for that, and I think it's going to be the nail in the coffin of an old system as we develop something completely new. Ten of Pentacles. That's what comes out of the tower moment, and this is where we're on to the 7th to the 14th of December. This is where Mercury retrograde comes in. I think it's going to be very beneficial to us, Mercury retrograde, actually. I think it's going to be really good for the collective here. If you're trying to do something and it is not karmically correct, or it's not in line with the vibration and stuff like that, you're going to find that you get complications. If you're trying to do things too quickly, I get it sometimes. Everybody gets it. You know, no one's perfect here in this situation. Understand that. No one is perfect. But out of that crown, out of that tower moment, comes the Ten of Pentacles. Absolute abundance. An absolute abundance through absolute strengths of what we know what is good for us as individuals and collectively. Because it's bringing the us into the I, basically. And in that third week, I think this is where Mercury retrograde really helps us out to realise that. And realise our true strength and being. And then we get the Five of Cups. This is a similar scenario of what happened on the Spirit. So basically it seems like the Spirit's going for it first, and obviously it takes time for it to filter through the material world. And I think this comes up as well. I think we're moving away from those spilt things there, the old system, into something that is very much in line with who we are collectively. I think the disappointment, this is why I'm trying to work out the disappointment here. I think the disappointment is it could be disappointments in regards to, I can't believe I was fooled. How stupid was I? That's that disappointment. Or I can't believe those people would do that. I'm really disappointed. And I don't think it's I think it's a good disappointment. It's a really good disappointment for us. I just want to pull some cards on the nature, basically, over this period here. Just the geological sort of sense of things, because I'm very interested in that. So let me just take out my travel pack of Light Seers cards, and let's just see if there's anything that we can get out of this for the nature. Is there anything that's happening in the first month? Well, there's something coming in very quickly in the first month here. Things happen very quickly, and I think maybe it's happening within the solar system, so that it could be like a solar flare that comes in that changes our understanding of the world, as it were, or the universe that is around us. It could be which triggers an earthquake or a volcano that makes a new island, and we understand that the world doesn't function how we thought it did function, and everything like that. In the second month, we get the Ten of Cups. The realization through what is coming in quickly. It's seeing reality for what it is. That's what the Ten of Cups is all about. I explained it earlier on. And that's what sort of comes out there. And then it's going to spark a lot of passions. I think this could spark this whole new system as well. Realizing that we have a different connection with the world, the geological world that is around us, sparks a lot of passion. So if we understand that the world works in a different way, then we can create different technology, possibly. What do we think? I just need to get a bit of clarification on this. I'm going to pull it out of these cards here. What do you think about that volcano idea? It's got possibility. It's got possibility. Or is it has it got something to do with the solar flare? I think that we personally are engaged with the sun in a very conscious way. And there's a conscious interaction between us and the sun. There's a consciousness between us and everything that's going on around us. Yeah? And I think it will depend. The sun will react according to how we react, basically. From the Ten of Cups, we get the Four of Wands there. Seeing the reality for what it is going to push us into the next dimension, and that's where we get the change of the Wheel of Fortune in the second month there as well. We got the playing smart on this side as well, and the Fool as well, the leap of faith, preparing to go down that journey, This is stepping into something completely new, where in the second week we had the Lovers card as well, and the Chariot up the top there as well. And where's it going to bring us? Bringing us towards our heart's desires, basically, and our connecting with our passions in a very beautiful way. So, yeah. Nature, it's seeing the reality for what it is, going into a whole new dimension, a whole new way. And this could well have ramifications on technology. And as we engage in our passions, it's going to ignite our heart's desires. That, you know, there's a lot more things that are really possible, basically. So yeah, there you go. Interesting read. There's a lot going on in the collective, in the universal sort of energies and stuff like that. You will have your individual sign reading over that 3-month period, coming out tomorrow and the following day. So for joining us for that, there's also the stuff on Cymatic TV where I go into how the eclipses and the equinoxes and solstices affect the energies and how they affect the energies of the earth and ultimately affect us as well. So I'll see you over there for that. There's links in the description below for any private readings that you so desire, and also for the workshops that I'm going to be giving in the UK, US and Australia. There you go. In the meantime, thank you very much for being here. Really do appreciate your support of this channel. And all I've got left to say is don't forget, life should be fun, so please do enjoy. Hello, the collective Astroflower. I've just done the collective reading for the equinox and the next 3 months. Major restructuring is going on within the human race on a personal level, within the emotions and etc. There's a realization that's going to spark a whole change of fortune in the way we interact with one another. On the material side, in the finances, political and stuff like that, that is where the collateral damage is happening. And there's a lot going on there. And it is going to spark a whole new way of doing things. The full reading is linked in the description below. You'll find it on our channel. You'll also find the individual months, signs for the 3-month period in the equinox reading as well. In the meantime, thank you very much for being here. Thank you very much for your subscription. I'll see you soon. In the meantime, life should be fun, so please do enjoy.